Hi, Abraham. So you're starting off with this saying that we're choosing our reality with our attention to where we put our focus, right? So all this stuff was working really good, and then it all kind of went to hell, and it just stopped working for me completely. And I started questioning everything that I was learning, and I was ready to just throw it all away and just really frustrated with it all.
Sometimes that helps, because when you throw it away, you realize how good it was.
And then that part that you're saying about coming back into the connection is why we're here, is to enjoy that movement of coming back into the stream of what's happening, of being one with.
What do you think was, we're just going to interrupt briefly because we really want to hear you fully. But sometimes when you're moving toward an outcome that you want, and the outcome is stubborn to come, or you're getting outcomes that you really don't want.
Right.
So you're measuring your success by the manifestation. And if the manifestation isn't showing up appropriately by your standards, then you begin questioning. But our question back to you is, never mind the outcome, although we don't mean never mind the outcome, because we want you to have those manifested outcomes that you want. But never mind the outcome so much as how you're feeling in the process. That's what really matters, you see.
Yeah, but I'm always keeping score in the process. I'm like watching a football game, and I'm going, well, this gets me closer to my goal. Uh-oh, they lost yardage. We're going to lose it over here.
But the score that we want you to keep is the score of how good I felt today, how much fun I had today, how many wonderful conversations I had today, how often today I saw the universe yielding to me in some significant way that wasn't even on my goal list or my things to do today list. Because we wanted to say to you, as a sort of basis of this conversation, in response to your really important opening remarks, that yes, everything is responding to what you're doing vibrationally, but you are all doing a whole lot vibrationally. These are interesting times for humans because you have so much feedback from so many places. The energy is really moving fast. So when you get a little out of balance, you get a big result from being a little out of balance. Esther bought a fast little car, a really fast little car. It's ridiculously fast. There's no speed limit in the world that allows it. She's going to have to go to some other planet to really drive it the way she wants to. And her daughter said, Mom, what were you thinking? Because it barely has enough storage in it for a toothbrush. It's not a touring car, it's a driving car. And Esther said, well, don't you remember all those times that Abraham told the story of Esther saying to Jerry, you should buy that for me. It will make me happy for the afternoon. What did you think I was talking about, a station wagon? So this is a very fast car. The odometer says 220 miles per hour. It goes 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. Theoretically.
You're right. Right.
So when you are moving fast, you want to be focused. In other words, coming across the desert, the inspection station, the men there who were always very uppity, the dogs sniffing all around, they were out of their minds. They said, how fast will this go? And Esther said, 60. Maybe 65. The odometer says 220, but
you don't know.
I would have no way of knowing that. And they said, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. You want to go fast. You really do. You want to go fast, but you want to go fast in control. You want to be in sync with the leverage of this energy. So you've opened yourself to this very high-powered, very fast, very high leverage, very high frequency energy. And when you do, then it's prudent to stay in alignment with it, or you have a sort of rough ride sometimes. But as you step back, you just have to continually ask yourself the question, would I rather go slow? Would you? Do you think Esther can ever drive a normal car again? We don't.
Right.
We don't see why she would want to ever drive a normal car again. And you're not ever going to want to be a normal person again either. Right. You can't go back.
Yeah.
We should put it on the thing you sign as sort of, I hereby understand that once I learn about these laws of the universe and meditate myself into higher frequency, that I will never again be happy in the lower, slower vibrations. It's just the way it is. You can't go back.
So I get speeding up and I start bumping into these guardrails of
then just
old
sit down.
thoughts.
Then just sit down. When you bump into something, just sit down and regroup. And that really is the message that we're offering these days. Because when you're bumping into things and then responding to the things that you're bumping into, it's better to just get as general as you can in your statements, which means really go back to an emotional statement of what you're looking for. Because as we hear you here and as we feel you here, the emotion that we can feel you reaching for, it's interesting, and this is going to surprise you maybe a little bit, because we've been talking about fun, Esther found some, and ease, fun and ease and balance, fun and ease and balance. But the word that we would put there softly for you is ease and balance and belief. Now, belief may not sound like an emotional word, like anger or joy. But belief is a sort of consensus of emotions. Belief meaning alignment, meaning harmony, meaning resonance with who I really am. It's the feeling of trust. It's the feeling of security. It's the feeling of knowing who I am. It's the feeling of understanding that I am connected to source energy and that source is aware of me, and that I just have to put myself in the place where I can receive the benefit of all of that. Now we'll hear you. We have a good basis here.
So with this belief, like I've done everything I knew to do twice to get everything right, and it still looks to me, the evidence looks like it's not going the way I want it to go.
Because you're trying to fill in the grid. Have you been listening to us talking a bit about the grid? You know what the grid is? So the vortex is where everything's being held vibrationally. But we're calling your attention to your point of attraction, and we've given it affectionately the name grid as a sort of mental structure, sort of like the framing of a building that's going to fill in with the details. So your grid equals your emotional state, your point of attraction. And the better you feel, the more your grid will then easily receive the contents of your vortex. The worse you feel, the more the contents of your vortex can't come to you, because they're one frequency and your grid's another, so they're not coming together. But as you become less specifically focused upon what's wrong, and therefore deactivate more and more of those resistant vibrations, then the contents of your vortex easily flow into your grid. And that's a manifestation point. In other words, that's the point that you feel it. That's the point that rendezvous start happening. That's the point that you start feeling more success. And eventually, as you maintain a more consistent grid that's more consistent with your vortex, then manifestations begin to occur that are the ones you want. Signs first, feelings, impulses, and then evidence.
Yeah, the evidence would be nice, but what about the attachment? I get this attachment to the outcomes.
But you see, there's a lot of evidence. When we offered that word, we felt the perfection of it, because there's a lot of evidence that you can't yet park in your garage. In other words, there's emotional evidence, there's alignment evidence, there's lightheartedness evidence, there's feeling good evidence, there's feeling relief evidence. In other words, there's a lot of evidence before there's this knock on wood evidence. And in the absence of the knock on wood evidence, you got to find some other evidence that is satisfying to you enough to keep you in the game.
Abraham, I've just been in the belief that I've been able to hang on to is trying to enjoy my contrast and just being in a place of knowing that because I'm experiencing what I don't want, I should be able to see what I do want from this place right here.
Well, it's a good thing because in fairness, when you really, really want something that really, really isn't there, it's about all you've got. I might as well make the best of this. Esther came to that when Jerry made his transition. Might as well accept this because do I really have a choice? Do I really have a choice other than to accept what is? And you see, this is the gift that Esther wishes that she could give to all of you in that powerful way, because she was up against a wall where she had no choice but to accept, and therefore, instead of looking for Jerry where he isn't, begin to look for him where he is and find all kinds of evidence of him. But when you're looking for a manifestation and feeling the absence of it, we understand why you just want to throw a fit about it. I've been waiting for this for too damn long. I want this to come. I want it to come, and I want it to come now. And we say, that's not going to get you anywhere.
Right, I get this voice in my head that's like, it should be this way. And how do I deal with these shoulds that keep coming up for me? It shouldn't be like this.
By understanding that those voices in your head are the voices that you have generated from your outside the vortex stance, and that they're perfectly all right. And that every time you're screaming to the universe, it shouldn't be like this, it should be better for me, that you are putting more in the vortex. And we know that has to be incredibly annoying to keep hearing about this vortex that's full of everything that you want. But we promise you, what you want will flow to you, but you've got to find a mental state, a vibrational state. You've got to find a chilled state. You've just got to find a way to just sit down and regroup and find something that is general enough that the black cloud lifts off of you. And in the moment, this is the reason that it is so easy for us to teach you this, is that in the moment that you do that, and it's not that hard to do, we know that it takes some doing when you're far from it, but it's not that hard to do. If you could find that relief, evidence, not the big full-blown knock-on-wood evidence that you're looking for, but evidence of your relief will come right away. And then things start showing up that make you know you're doing all right. You see, you're like so many people. You have had for a long time a belief that it could be better and that it should be better, and that for some people that it even is better. But you haven't been pointing that lens at yourself. You've been holding on to the it should be better, but it isn't better. It should be better, but it isn't better, for long enough that that's really a practiced vibration within you. And the harder you reach for things that you want beyond what you have, from that belief that it should be better, but it isn't better, then just the stronger the tug of war is within you, you see.
Yeah.
And so finally, you just reach the place, and we like it when you say, I'm just sort of done. I'm done trying. I'm done trying to make this happen. Because when you reach that place that you are no longer efforting for it, but you still, you see, we're not the least bit worried about you because we know what you know, and you know too much. You're not going to let go of your knowledge of the law of attraction. You're not going to miss a clue when it comes in. You're not going to miss seeing evidence and make the relationship, the correlation between what you've been doing vibrationally and that. That's the beauty of deliberate creation. When you have felt bad and you've deliberately brought yourself to a place of feeling good, and then you see evidence that matches that feeling good, it doesn't seem like a fluke to you. It seems perfectly normal to you, you see. When something happens, wanted or unwanted, and you're able to make the relationship between how you've been feeling and what you've been thinking and what that manifestation was, you are in power. you see.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Esther, or any of you. She can drive her car on the highway, or she can get off in the bar pit. She can get way off in the sand. She can get off in the weeds. But she knows she has the ability to drive that car where she chooses to drive it. That car is not just going to leap off the highway. She can go around those corners that say 40 at 80.